everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope that you guys are doing great and that you're enjoying your day. I'm going to finish up Spiritual Electricity, the Basic Principles in the Artist's Way, and give you a few more things that I've underlined, and then move on to the basic tools and share a little bit from there, as well as the contract. So the next thing that I had underlined in here was, when you're looking at your creative journey, look at it as, or it says, think of it as a journey with difficult, varied, and fascinating terrain. You are moving to higher ground. The fruit of your withdrawal is what you need to understand as a positive process, both painful and exhilarating. Now that reminds me of when we're in that desert place, in the wilderness, and I have felt like that for a very long time. I'm stuck in the wilderness because, like the Israelites, stubborn, and we just keep going around in circles, because either that's where God needs us to be to teach us a lesson, or because we are making wrong choices, or it's kind of like you come out and you're in the valley, you're up on the mountaintop, and then you have your desert moments, and that's kind of what a lot of the last 10 years of my life has felt like, just being in this desert area and not necessarily having a lot of growth in, or at least that I noticed at first. I was like, I'm not growing here. This is boring, or this is awful. This isn't the place I want to be. I want to get out of here. I want to do this. I want to do that. But in order for us to get to higher ground, we have to go through these things. And see, what was happening for me is I wasn't going through them. I wasn't walking with the Lord through these things. I was holding on to these things. I was like overanalyzing, overthinking, going over and over. I should have said this. I should have said that. Playing those conversations over and over again. And I would do really well with my health, right? With getting a better diet. I was losing weight. I mean, this has been like in the last, I'd say 10 years. And the reason I use that is because that's when I started getting sick, like to the point where it admitted that I was feeling sick, I guess, and all the things that were happening. So it was like really, really bad. And then I got a little better. But then and I noticed these are the good choices for me. I better start continuing with this. So I did for a while. And then all of a sudden I fell off. And here I go again. And a lot of that was because I didn't trust him enough. I kept picking things up and getting them back, and I'll fix it. You're taking too long. You're not doing it the way I want you to do it. Or, like I said before, you have more important things to do. I'll fix this. And so it makes it a lot harder to get to that mountaintop, that peak where everything is this amazing beauty below you. And so, I feel like I'm coming out of that area now, because I'm allowing myself to do some serious inner work, I guess, and growth in who I am, and allowing myself to really love myself instead of always putting myself last and putting myself down and keeping myself in this position of I don't know, just like, I guess, in a position where you don't feel good enough. You think you should be better. You think you should be at a different level. You put yourself down because you're not where you think or where society thinks you should be. And that's kind of how I feel about this whole creativity thing, right? Because, okay, for instance, this last bout with creativity was watercoloring. My intention is for fun. My intention is just to do it as a way to process through things. So I got it out. I started doing stuff. Excuse me. And immediately I just decided, this isn't good enough. You're not good enough. You shouldn't be doing this. This is dumb. And that same, that the way the enemy gets into your head and you believe his lies, but then it's funny because it's not even the enemy anymore. He's already got you, and he's already got those lies so embedded into your mind that you start telling it to yourself and you believe it. And so I gave up on that. And the worst part about it for me is that it's not that I don't want to do anything with it as far as like, oh, I'm going to make this great art and I'm going to sell it and it's going to be, I don't care about that. I just wanted it for myself, just because it was helping me to learn how to sit still with myself, how to process emotion through the painting, just like through music, through writing. It was just another form of that. And it was fun. And because there's times that the words just don't come, they just don't. I sit down to write and it's like it's all stuck. And it's because they're hard. They're hard to write down. Like I was thinking about this today and how I write a lot about the things that are going on in my day and things that I'm thinking about. Well, there's some really hard things that I wish I could just write down, because I know once I write them, once I get them out, I can start letting go. And I think these forgiveness prompts that I'm doing in my journal have helped with that, because the questions are a lot about how can you heal? How can you grow closer to the Lord with, through forgiveness? How can you build better relationships, Christ-centered relationships through forgiveness, practicing forgiveness, being forgiving, and I'm thinking, okay, well, what if someone's not sorry, but yet you still have to forgive them, right? For scripture tells us forgive to be forgiven. Okay, but you're stuck in a situation where things have happened and people think they never did anything wrong. They don't want to admit to it. They don't want whatever the reason is. They're not going to say they're sorry, but yet you're sitting here. You're a Christian. You know you're supposed to forgive them. You know you're not supposed to hold on to grudges. You know you're not supposed to have hate or ill will towards anybody. You know God's going to take care of them. Whatever that means, they are going to face the consequences for their actions, just like we are. So why do we continue poisoning ourselves by holding on to unforgiveness, right? But I think it becomes such a part of our life, such a way of being, because of all the hard things that we've been through, traumas and different things, that we hold on to it because we're comfortable in there. We've got used to it. And we believe the lies of the enemy that we are not good enough to feel good. We're not good enough to have joy. We're not good enough to have peace. And we know happiness is fleeting. Happiness is based on circumstance. It's, I'm happy today because something good happened, right? I don't know. It could be anything from, hey, I got a new book. This is happy. But that newness, that time, it wears off after a while. That moment in time that you were happy because you got to see someone you hadn't seen in a long time, well, it'll wear off after a while, because it was only in that moment where you felt that intense happiness because you were in there. Then the memories that come from that moment of great happiness, that's where we find our joy, that long lasting joy in the midst of the chaos, in the midst of the darkness, in the midst of the hardest of circumstances, in the midst of the pain, the trauma, the darkness, all those times when the enemy is trying to tell you, hey, remember this, remember when you did this, remember, then you got to come back with it. But you got to remember, look at these wonderful memories. Look at all the things that God has done for me. Look at all the things that God has blessed me with. Look at where I'm at right now. Like for me, for instance, I can be creative. I can go sit down and get my paints out and sit here and paint for hours if I wanted to. Nothing's stopping me. That is a blessing in and of itself. I can sit here and read. I can do these, record these videos. I have a quiet, safe place here. It might be small, it might be cluttered with a bunch of my junk and my husband's junk. And, we might be in this really tiny space, and there are some difficulties, but the goodness of the Lord is in every single detail of it. Like, if only I could, share that in a way that you could understand. I'm sure that there are things in your lives that you see where that goodness comes in of the Lord, and how creating your space to be a sanctuary, a haven for you. And that's part of this whole creative journey for me. And I didn't even know this until I started these videos today, because this is the second one I've done today for the Artist Way. And it's really funny, because I was thinking to myself just a few days ago, I wasn't feeling well mentally, physically, and I just wanted to give up. I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't even care. I don't care if it's a cluttered mess. I don't care if I ever get it together. I don't care. I'm just going to leave it as is and just hide under the covers and, that type of thing. And those days come. They're going to come, but I don't want to get stuck there. I want to be able to go through those emotions with the Lord by my side, go through all of that and why am I feeling that way, and realize that sometimes when we're just not feeling well, sometimes it's just the problem, and we get in our own head, and we've got to remember that it's fine. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to feel these things. It's okay to be like sad. It's okay to be angry sometimes. It's okay to be in these things. Just don't get stuck there. Don't sin in it. Don't turn your back on the Lord because you're having a bad day, because we're going to have plenty of those. We live in a very broken world, and a lot of times, because of those bad days, it stops my creative process. It stops everything. I quit watercolors. I quit sketching. I quit sewing. I totally quit on learning how to crochet years ago. I quit writing my stories that I was writing. I started a story years ago. It's probably been like 12, 13 years ago already. And I started writing a story, and now I just can't get back to it. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is I'm not good enough, right? That's my thought process. This isn't good enough. Nobody ever's going to like it. Nobody is ever going to like it. No, you're not, it's not going to be a thing. It's, whatever. But I could just do it for myself. I could just do it for people around me or whatever. And like my husband can read it and it'd be fine, right? The other thing is the way I write stories anyway. When I wrote that, I had this old computer, this old desktop computer, and it didn't have any internet or Wi-Fi, anything like that at the time. I just had the computer, and I decided that I was just going to sit and type away. When I can type, I can just close my eyes and type and type and type and type, and the whole story comes out. But I'm watching it all happen in my head, and that's how I write. When I write by hand, it's really hard to see the scenes in my head and make it come out on paper and not go like this and all over the place, and for me to be able to understand it afterwards. And now that I don't have a computer, that makes it a little harder. So one of the items on my wish list is to eventually get a laptop that I can just maybe finish that story. I don't know. It was just like an adventure story or something. I can't even remember what my thought process was for it. It was kind of supposed to be based on different people that I know, like kind of like a few different people's stories kind of all meshed into one, because there were so many wonderful things that I, just family stories that I wanted to kind of put together in there. So there's another creative thing that I let go of because I got stuck in the darkness. I got stuck in the lies that the enemy puts forth. And even at the time, he may not have been whispering those in my ear, but he had already done it, and I had already believed it. I had already held on to it. So every time I got close to that next level, it was right there. That wall just hit right there, and I just fell right back down and gave up. This next part here that I underlined, I can't remember the word. Many of us find that we have squandered our own creative energies by investing disproportionately in the lives, hopes, dreams, and plans of others. Their lives have obscured and detoured our own. I'm having trouble reading today. As we consolidate a core through our withdrawal process, we become more able to articulate our own boundaries, dreams, and authentic goals. Our personal flexibility increases while our malleability to the whims of others decreases. We experience a heightened sense of autonomy and possibility. And interestingly, on the side, I have these little half sticky notes that I wrote. I wrote down, have I squandered my own creativity by investing too much in others and putting myself on the back burner? Can I regain that creativity and learn how to take care of my needs? And it's funny, like I talked about the whole desert thing just a minute ago. I guess I wrote this down as well. I wrote in that part where it's talking about the difficult journey and the varied and fascinating terrain. It says, I wrote down, there are days I feel I'm in a dry, hot desert, longing for the lush valleys. Abba, take me through these desert moments, through the valleys where I look to you, then to the mountaintops where praises are loudly raised. I don't know if you've ever heard the song Hills and Valleys by Torrin Wells. That was what was on my mind when I wrote this. That song, there were days where over the last couple of years that would play on my playlist when I was driving back and forth from here to my hometown. Even while my mom was sick, even around that time when I was going to help her and help my dad and do some shopping and stuff for them at that time that she was really sick, that song would play and it was like it was a hard thing, but such a comfort at the same time, just knowing that no matter where you are, he's there with you. And like after the last couple of years since my mom's been gone, when I hear those songs, there's a lot of them that played during that time she was sick and right around the time she passed away that they helped me, I think, to process through the emotion while I was driving. So that was like the only time that I'd actually allow myself to kind of go through the emotions, to be able to allow the tears to flow, to grieve her loss and just to grieve everything that was going on. And I still have a hard time with it. I'm a little better now, and I'm able to like talk about it better and kind of deal with it better. Thank God for the great friends, sisters, and brothers in the Lord that He's given me for my husband and my family, because they have really just been a great comfort, and for God to allow me to be there for my family as well in this time. But that song, if you haven't heard it, or if you haven't heard it in a long time, look it up on YouTube. If I remember, I'll write it. I'll put it down in the description below. I know I said that in one of the last videos, and I forgot to put it in right away. It was the video about the prayer cards and stuff. I forgot to link the Bloom Biblically's Petals and Bloom methods videos, but I did that today, so they are there. So by the time you see this, they'll be there, and hopefully you'll see them if you want to go back and look at those. So let's see what else here that's pretty good to talk about. So here she says, some of our dreams are very volatile, and the mere act of brushing them off sends an enormous surge of energy bolting through our denial system. Such grief, such loss, such pain. It is at this point in the recovery process that we make what Robert Bly calls a descent into the ashes. We mourn the self we abandoned. We greet this self as we might greet a lover at the end of a long and costly war. To effect a creative recovery, we must undergo a time of mourning. In dealing with the this word, the S word for the delete of self, but in the dealing with the delete of the nice self we have been making to do with, we find a certain amount of grief to be essential. Our tears prepare the ground for our future growth. Without this creative moistening, we may remain barren. We must allow the bolt of pain to strike us. Remember, this is useful pain. Lightning illuminates. Oh. Grandma's dreaming and he's shaking over here. He's such a good dog. I'm going to take a moment here just to like praise on my dog. We've always had the most amazing cats and dogs. We still have our cats. I mean, they're just like, almost like they were just meant to be ours because their personalities and everything, we just mesh really well together. And our cats and our dogs have always meshed really well together too. And the way we got Graham was just amazing to me, that my sister and her boyfriend found him in Las Vegas, Nevada under their car while they were there for a softball tournament that her boyfriend was playing in at their hotel, I believe. And he was under their car, and of all people's cars, because he is a dog lover and he was not going to leave him there. So they coaxed him out from under. It took a while. He had like a collar, kind of a rope type collar embedded in his neck a little bit. They took it off. They left him in their hotel room. They fed him. They, kept him with them while they were there. They tried finding owners and everything. Couldn't find anyone. They canceled their flight back so they could rent a car just to bring him. And they were going to keep him. The dog they had, the other rescue dog they had, they didn't really get along all that great. And I had been talking about wanting a dog for a while because we had a dog when we moved here. We had him already for about 12, 13 years. And we've pretty much had dogs and cats our whole entire marriage. He passed away a little after we moved out here, and he was an amazing dog, Samson. I'll try to put a picture of him in this video. But he was just one of the most gentle, amazing dogs we've ever had. We've had such great dogs. And so I didn't want a dog for a while because it was hard to lose him. And even the cats that we've lost are quite a few of our cats. And we still have, our youngest one is 3. So we've had him 3 years. And in that time, we've lost some of our oldest ones. And it's been really hard. And so when we got Graham, I've been telling my husband, I just want a dog that's mine. Because the cats, I have certain cats that really attach to me, but we've lost some of those ones. And the cats that we have, a lot of them are really attached to my husband. He's really got this really calm heart, and they just love to just lay on him, and just like his heartbeat is really low. And I'm like more of a, that kind. I told him I think I have more dog energy than I have cat energy. And so I was like, but I want a dog that's like just mine. I don't know why I said that. And anyway, I talked about it a couple times, and then my sister and her boyfriend come upon Graham, who was then, they called him Biscuit. They didn't know what his name was, and they named him Biscuit. And so yikes. Hold on. My phone the whole thing just tipped over. So anyway, and I got him. When my sister said, well, if you want him, I know you wanted a dog, and he's a really good dog. And I was like, I wasn't sure, because then my in-laws had just gotten their dog a few months before that, and I didn't know how she'd react to it. But we brought him home. Then he got scared. He took off, got lost out here somewhere. We don't even know, and he was only here for a day. Then that Saturday, he was here Wednesday. We got him the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. He went missing on Thanksgiving Day. That after that evening, we went looking for him for all of Thursday when I got home, all day Saturday, or all day Friday. Saturday we were going to go look for him because it was snowing, and we knew it was going to snow, but we just we're hoping he'd come back. All of a sudden he's in the yard. How he got back in the yard, we don't know, because he had to have pushed through the gate somehow, and there's just a little space like this. He had to push through, and he was standing outside the cabin. My husband got up early that morning and saw him out there. And ever since then, he's been attached to me, and he's my dog. And he's just amazing. He has a lot of issues with anxiety and stuff like that because of probably being abused. So he does have some trouble with people. Mostly young guys, mostly. I think kids. And so I don't know, but he's done really well. He's been with us almost a year, and he has grown a lot in that way. And he's just so loving. He loves the cats, and him and my in-laws dog are best buddies, and they, it's just wonderful. And I don't know why I just wanted to talk about him, because he's right here laying down, and he's so cute, and he's just he's a joy to have. And then I love that our cats will just lay with him. The older girls are just it they're not afraid of him at all. They'll just do whatever they want. He just looks at them like, I know I'm not supposed to bother you. I'm not supposed, because you guys are older. The little ones, the younger ones, he's unsure of, like he wants to play with them, and they're kind of afraid of it afraid of him because he's big. But he just wants to play, and because he sees they're little, they're younger, and they run, and he wants to go running with them. And yeah, it's a thing with them, but it's just amazing. So, okay, now I'll stop babbling about my dog. But do you guys have dogs, cats, anything, any kind of animal? Horses? If I could have a horse. Okay, I'm gonna go off on a tangent if I start talking about that. Okay, so now talking about the lightning illuminates. So, like I think about the light of the Lord, and we're to be a light to the world, and without, like, just a little tiny bit of light illuminates the darkness. And I think about that. That's all I need, just a little bit at a time, like that mustard seed of faith. And now that I said that, I need to find my earrings that my friend gave me that have little mustard seeds in them, because I need to hold on to that, because sometimes that's all I've got is just a little bit, and just a little bit of strength to hold on to the hem of Yeshua's garment, because there's days that it is just hard. And and I think that's where that whole creative process comes through. Like, that's why I think doing these videos on those days is really good for me, because it gets me to do something. It gets me to share. It gets me to, just talk through things, and hopefully grow and learn some things about myself. This is okay. So here she talks about, how do you know if you are creatively blocked? Jealousy is an excellent clue. Are there artists whom you resent? Do you tell yourself, I could do that if only? Do you tell yourself that if only you took your creative potential seriously, you might? Stop telling yourself it's too late. Stop waiting until you make enough money to do something you'd really love. Stop telling yourself it's just my ego whenever you yearn for a creative life. Stop telling yourself that dreams don't matter, that they are only dreams, and that you should be more sensible. Stop fearing that your family and friends would think you're crazy. Stop telling yourself that creativity is a luxury and that you should be grateful for what you've got. As you learn to recognize, nurture, and protect your inner artist, you will be able to move beyond pain and creative constriction. You will learn ways to recognize and resolve fear, remove emotional scar tissue, and strengthen your confidence. Damaging old ideas about creativity will be explored and discarded. Working with this book, you will experience an intensive guided encounter with your own creativity, your private villains, champions, wishes, fears, dreams, hopes, and triumphs. The experience will make you excited, depressed, angry, afraid, joyous, hopeful, and ultimately more free. So that is the end of that chapter. Oh, and this thing just fell over again. It's because his little monkey is underneath it, and then every time I move my leg, it falls over. So this is already 27 minutes long, so I will get to the basic tools in the next one, and hopefully I can get these up and edited soon for you guys, and I hope that you enjoy these videos, and hopefully they'll help you along with your creativity as well. So share in the comments below if any of this resonated with you, and what types of things that you do to get your creative juices flowing. And do you have a dog, a cat, horse, a rabbit, anything? And are you, how are your pets? What are their names? And how did you get them? All right, I'll see you guys in the next one. God bless you. Bye.